Hey there, welcome back to the athomedive YouTube channel. As always, my name is Joey, and today we're in the kitchen making something fantastic. Mardi Gras is right around the corner, so that gives us a great excuse to make a time-honored tradition, gumbo. Not only is it fantastic, it's also a great way to feed all your friends with relatively little work. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right in. So on the counter today, we actually have quite a few ingredients, but don't be intimidated by that. A lot of this goes pretty quick and simple. So we're gonna start with 1 cup of canola oil. I've also got a handful of chicken thighs here. These are boneless and skinless. These are completely optional. You can do just seafood if you would like. I have 1 cup of AP flour. I have 2 large onions that we're gonna dice. I have about 1 pound of andouille sausage, 3 stalks of celery that are diced up, and 1 large green bell pepper that we're gonna dice. I have a few cloves of garlic here. Mine were pretty small, so I went ahead and used 5. Typically I would use about 3 to 5, depending on their size. 1 cup of okra that's cut into small discs. I have just a little bit of dry thyme because I couldn't find any fresh thyme this time of year. And I've got 2 bay leaves. Bay leaves are also completely optional, although they are traditional. They're a little bit expensive if you don't have any at home already. I have a bottle of Worcestershire and a bottle of Crystal hot sauce. I'm gonna start off with about 3 tablespoons each of these, but we'll add a little bit to taste here and there wherever we prefer. 1 pound of medium shrimp that are peeled and deveined. I'm gonna cut these into pieces here in a little bit just so that we can spread them throughout. 8 ounces of picked crab and 1 bunch of green onions. Other than that, I've only got a little batch of Creole spice here. You can buy Creole spice at the grocery store, or I'll put a link to how I make it in the description below. The last thing is I've got 3 quarts of shrimp stock. You can use chicken stock if you'd like, but it's nice if you have shrimp stock. So this is really what we're gonna need, so let's get started. So I'm gonna start by grabbing my chicken thighs and my canola oil. I'm only gonna put just a little bit of my canola oil in to get started, because I'm gonna go ahead and sear off these chicken thighs as soon as this warms up. It doesn't really matter how you do this, because we are gonna be cutting these chicken thighs up here in a few minutes. But I like to go ahead and put mine flat side down and get them nice and opened up. That way you get a lot of pan contact. That way we have a chance at color, because color is flavor. While the chicken thighs get nice and browned off is a great chance to step back over and cut up all of our veggies. So here's our veggies. As you can see, I didn't take the time to make them perfect because by the time they stew in, it's not really gonna matter. So we have our chopped up sausage, onions. I went ahead and mixed the celery with the bell peppers and garlic because they're gonna go all in at the same time. And we have our okra. So let's go back to the chicken. All right, so we're back over here. And as you can see, we're starting to achieve nice color on our chicken thighs. Keep in mind that we don't have to cook these all the way because we are gonna throw them in the gumbo and let them stew for a little while later on. So I'm just gonna flip these, give them just a second, and then we'll pull them off and set them aside to dice up later. Now that we've got our chicken pulled out and we got all the little bits of chicken pulled out of here, we're gonna go ahead and add in the rest of our oil and now the flour. Now is when you have to be very patient. We're gonna keep the heat on medium high, and we need to cook this until it's very deep, rich brown. So this step takes quite a while, probably about 15 minutes to be honest with you, because you don't want to rush it because you don't want to burn it, but you do want to get it as dark as you can while trusting the process. As you can see here, the roux is starting to change colors. Right now, we're at that first shade of brown that we're looking for, and that means we're on the right track. Just be patient with this because, as I said, it does take a little bit, but we're on the way. Now is when your roux really starts to come to life. As you can see here, I stopped whisking it for a second, and now you can see the color change occurring as I start to whisk this again. Now it's important that we don't stop whisking this no matter what. We're getting to that deep brown. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat down just a touch, just to make it just a little bit more manageable, because everything starts going pretty fast about now. We're in that nice chocolate milk stage, and it smells nice and nutty, so we're gonna keep waiting just a little bit more. We're almost there. Also, I'm gonna go ahead and switch from my whisk to my trusty wooden spoon. We're gonna keep watching this whisk, and as you see here, it's starting to get very dark. It's important that we start making sure that the bottom gets very well stirred. We don't need anything left behind, but I'm gonna go ahead and add these onions. If you hear that sizzle, you know that that's very hot. So make sure that you don't let this splash on you. We're gonna let these onions cook in here for about 7 to 10 minutes. We wanna get them nice and translucent, and then we're gonna move on to the next step, which will be sausage. In the meantime, keep in mind that this will still burn if you let it. So keep everything moving and make sure the bottom stays raked very nicely. It's important that at this stage, if you see any buildup starting to occur, such as you might be able to see right here, there's just a little bit of buildup. I'm gonna work that spot just a little bit extra to make sure nothing keeps cooking at any faster rate there. We wanna make sure that nothing burns and sticks to the bottom and everything continues to cook nice and even. This is the most stressful step of the entire thing because there's nothing hard about it. You just have to work it a little bit and keep everything moving. We're back, and I've been stirring this what feels like an eternity, but really it's been about 8 minutes. And the onions are starting to become nice and translucent. You can smell them starting to caramelize. So we're gonna go ahead and add in the sausage. Once you add in the sausage, we just need to let this cook for a couple of minutes, maybe 2 to 3, and just let the fat start to come out of the sausage and work its way into everything. Since we just added quite a bit of volume to this, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat back up just a little bit to bring everything back up to temperature, because as you can see, the bubbles are slowing down, so this is cooling down quite a bit. All right, now that the sausage has had a few minutes to get acquainted with everything and the fat's starting to come out of it, we're gonna go ahead and grab the celery, bell peppers, and garlic, and the okra. And now everything's in there. We're gonna stir this for a few minutes and give it a second to get cooked as well. The veggies have been in for about 3 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in the bay leaves and the thyme and move right over to the first bit of the stock. I'm gonna go ahead and add in a quart to get started, and then I'll add in the other 2 quarts here in just a moment. I'm also gonna go ahead and add in about 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce and about 3 tablespoons of the Crystal hot sauce. You can add a little bit more of either of these if you'd like, but that's always a good place to start. Also, a good bit of Creole spice. Once you make this a few times, you'll find out about how much Creole spice you like in yours, but I'm gonna start with a few tablespoons as well. Now is another slightly time-occupying portion, but this is a lot easier. Once this starts to come together, you'll see that it's starting to look like gumbo. We're gonna give this a stir for a few moments, and then I can start adding in the rest of the stock. Now that all of the stock is in here, we're gonna go ahead and let this simmer for about 45 minutes. As you can see, right now it's nice and thin, but it will thicken up just a little bit along the way. Keeping in mind that it's not a very thick soup, it just needs to have a little bit of body to it. Since we have 45 minutes while our gumbo simmers, I'm gonna go ahead and take these partially cooked chicken thighs and just chop them up. They don't have to be nice or uniform at all, but then again, the smaller they are in relatively uniform pieces, the better it's gonna look. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut these in just smaller bite-sized portions, and then we'll throw them back into the gumbo now. Now it's time to move on to our shrimp. So now that we have the shrimp, I'm just gonna take a clean knife and cutting board, and I'm gonna cut these into about 2 to 3 pieces each. So now that we all have these cut up into smaller bite-sized pieces, that way they get spread throughout the gumbo, I'm gonna go and put these back in the refrigerator as opposed to into the gumbo like we did the chicken thighs, because we want the gumbo to fully cook the chicken thighs, and these shrimp aren't gonna take nearly as long to cook. We're gonna go into the refrigerator and we'll put them back in here in about half an hour. Back over to our pot of gumbo. As you can see here, it now has that rich, smooth, creamy color and texture to it. The liquid is came together all the way, and now we just have to be patient and let it cook. This is the hardest part of the entire thing because it smells so delicious already, but we gotta let it do its thing. So we'll see you here in about half an hour.
One eternity later.
So I've got my knives and cutting board clean, and I'm gonna go ahead and just chop off the frizzly ends or the roots of the green onion. I'm gonna start at the other end though, and I'm gonna work my way down, cutting these in small circles. Now we're just gonna set these aside for here in just a moment. Some people cook their green onions in, but I like that subtle sharpness that it's gonna add and that vibrant, clean green herb nature that we're gonna get from them being completely raw. So I'm just gonna use them as a garnish right on top. Let's go check on the gumbo again. Our gumbo has simmered for about another 15 minutes since we've added the shrimp in. And as you can see here, if you pick up a shrimp, you can feel them and tell if they're fully cooked or not. Once they achieve that nice bright white and pink color, that's gonna let you know that we're ready to go. So right now, our gumbo is completely finished, assuming that you don't need to adjust any seasonings. And if you'd like to, now's another good opportunity. But the gumbo is ready to go. Let's go ahead and plate some up and we'll get ready to eat. So we moved over to the counter. We have our giant pot of gumbo, we have the bowl that we're going to serve this in, and our trusty green onions. But we're going to welcome back our friend, the picked crab. So we're going to go ahead, and I like to just put the crab right in the bowl because the crab really doesn't need anything to heat it up a whole lot, and it's already fully cooked. Now I'm going to go ahead and just scoop this right over the top. And the gumbo is, like I said, immediately going to heat up the crab. And now we have a nice, big, juicy bowl of seafood and chicken gumbo. Make sure you find that balance between goodies and liquid, that way you don't end up with just one or the other at the end.
An absolutely crucial part of serving gumbo is adding the white rice. We're gonna go and add this white rice, and if you want, take a look at the video in the top right corner now, just see how we made it.
The white rice is really what ties the gumbo together and makes it a full meal. Once the rice is in there, we're gonna go ahead and just top this off with the green onions, and done. All right, well that wraps us up on how to make gumbo, a classic New Orleans favorite. Comment below and let me know how your gumbo turns out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to subscribe. Have a great day. Happy Mardi Gras.